10 years from now,
Yeah.
the four you young ladies aren't married.
I'll be 36.
You aren't married.
Aren't.
Are not married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you consider that a failure?
No.
Or would you be disappointed?
In who? I would be Dr. Bailey by that time, so disappointed. In who?
Hey, independent. Make
Like, so,
If we are speaking in Nova Scotia, a couple must live together for 2 years before being entitled to any possible spousal support as such as common law marriage.
Oh. I just gotta stick
That
a bit
is
longer.
a
What you're
bit
saying?
Sorry, what is common law marriage?
So common law marriage is you and your boyfriend is in a relationship or whatever, and you guys been living together, sharing bills, doing everything as husband and wife, but you don't have the legal paper.
Oh, okay.
So they technically put you in this class and you say, hey, y'all married, but y'all ain't married on paper.
Yeah. That's it.
Ooh. Anyway, for me,
You're saying, oh, you might be right in that.
She probably is.
It's to prevent all the
I
like
already
future
said,
hiccups and stuff.
as for me and mine, I am not going to be sitting in a dead relationship with it. Not to say that a relationship is dead, meaning like
No, but wait.
I'm not getting my hopes and dreams just because we have been together this long and I haven't. It's just something for me. Like, you know how every relationship has its stipulations, like maybe you need to have a certain amount of money in the bank to be classified as financially well off. I need to be married in order for me to say
That's what
that.
it comes back to.
My
He didn't
relationship.
answer what he. What do you think about his question about the 10 years from now if you're not married?
I wouldn't say failure because
Okay, yeah, failure was a bit.
What you say, unhappy or
It's like you're disappointed. Like your plans.
Some people aren't in relationships until a certain point. Like
10 years
if I'm
from now.
33, I'm not in the relationship that I am in right now. I would not be disappointed because it's not my time
Okay,
yet.
10 years from now, if you're not married, would you be disappointed in yourself?
I wouldn't be disappointed because I
I have
don't.
another
I'm
question.
disappointed.
I have a
No.
question.
I just be. Obviously, it's not the plan that I have. Everybody have a plan. Like somebody, oh, I'm 28, I want to be married by 30, I want to have a kid or whatever. That doesn't happen all the time. So I wouldn't be disappointed and just be like, oh, it just didn't work.
Wait,
out
Tommy,
that way.
piggyback off something you say, right? For all your, like, sure, you want to get married, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you all have
eventually.
do you all have a prospective age, you know? Like, is that thing like before 30
So-
or like,
Yes.
that's what I want to know.
When
So,
you're
like,
trying to get out the game, when you're retiring, when you're
Out
trying
the
to
game.
Yeah.
Okay.
when you all want to
Retiring
get
from the
married.
So for me, I used to have a date set, like an age, but as I got
Hey,
older,
I was gonna say,
not a date, but an age. I used to say I used to say
At 2:35 p.m. I'd rather be
the sun
No,
will be
but
setting.
seriously.
White swans will let the sky.
I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship, and I used to be like, me and this boy, we head over heels in love. Y'all know, everybody knows.
Yeah, we've been there.
I was like, okay, we've been together for so many years. When I reached 26, 27, I want to settle down. The relationship wasn't over, but at this time, I was like, I don't really see myself in this age bracket no more. I have things I want to accomplish as myself before I say, oh, let me tie myself, not tie, but let me marry this man for the rest of my life. I want to do things as a single woman and do it. So for me, I don't have an age bracket no more. If it happens, it happens.
Exactly, because like that's the reason why I could say in this relationship I have a time period, but if when I'm 30 years old I could just meet the love of my life and we've been dating 6 months.
So you trying to say?
I'm not trying to get married. So he ain't going to get married. So when I say like that, I'm not trying to get married at 30 because I've only been with this guy for
I think
6
we
months.
kind
I'm
of
saying in my
switched off the topic a bit.
No, wait, hold on. I have one more. So is it grounds for breakup if you are in a relationship with someone for 10 years and they have not
For me,
proposed
yes.
to you?
No,
For me,
it's
yes.
not.
I don't know.
You think so?
No.
Yes.
Break my heart. You rip my heart out.
Now
Because
I've had conversations with
Why are you
persons.
not ready to get married 10
So
years
what if?
into the
So
relationship?
what if I have a certain goal? Like, I'm make sure I pay for
I'm
this
not
house
the one.
cash.
Exactly.
It's $20,000
So
short.
this is
I want to
where
get it in the end of the year. You like, now we done.
Nah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
What we
This is where
we
that's
should be
absolutely
as
not.
the guy though.
So you need to have
Sorry?
a house before
Well,
you
we're
marry.
assuming that
I might have
it's-
certain
what
things
if
I say,
it's
like,
right?
I
No,
might
that we can lay out, we can lay out those
Wait,
grounds.
what were you
I feel
saying?
like y'all making an assumption that is the guys who decides when to get married. But what about me? Why if I don't want to get married till 20 years in the relationship? Why y'all making it seem like
I
it's
promise
No,
you,
you
y'all been
definitely
probably
can take that position. Take that position.
It's a good job. Y'all still gonna be like, okay,
young queens
I'm
of that.
sorry, like,
Wait, you're talking about one of those scenarios where a guy constantly proposes and shit.
yeah, if I'm talking about me. If I ain't ready, I'm not getting married till
Belly break down. You got one guy. Can I propose to you? Just let me know when
That's what
you're
you call me right now. I tried
Nah,
it.
if it is
I do it.
If I
I propose to you, and
If
then
it
you
is a
say no.
conversation,
You gotta no.
I don't think we should get on that topic of the proposal.
I think marriage is outdated in terms of the legal aspects and in terms of a few spiritual
Yes.
aspects as well.
You have aspects of marriage that are outdated.
But marriage
Like,
itself?
marriage itself,
It's still relevant.
I don't think it's
I think it's relevant
I think-
because it's able to you to say to the world, "This is me and my spouse. We're together. We're a union." I like to quote Wale. Plenty of people know about me and you. It's like together, but they don't know about us. So I think that's the next level. No. They know about me and you individually, right? But they don't know about our union. And I think it's the next level. Like
Hold up for a second.
y'all just date, y'all relationship, then y'all.
We spoke about people like dependently like on in relationships. People are interested in relationships, but in the 21st century, you find a lot of people who just aren't into relationships like that. Like as in,
in general.
like people like you find like, and then if you go more like specific, you could find people who just asexual, who just like
That
fuck
is
it.
Me
So then-
personally,
Now, but then also,
People
especially more, it's more with
asexual
women though.
about
It's
sex,
more with
right?
women. Like with men, if a man goes 50, 60 years, well in the Caribbean, I talking. Like,
That is
no, it's not even in the Caribbean anymore because it's here as well.
if you go 50, 60 with never get married, they don't want you in. But then with a woman, it's sort of looked at as like a disappointment. I don't know if disappointment is the word, but it's like she's deemed as like someone who's unattractive or something like, oh, she must have a
people
problem.
only see women
because no
as
man-
baby makers, full stop.
Exactly.
And it's just to make a baby.
So then,
people feel
it's
as-
in that sense, because we were talking from the relationship, in that sense, it could be. I don't know if the question revolves around that, but it could be like it's outdated in that sense where you need to get married to sort of have this kind of class in society.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
to fit into it.
And that's what makes marriage outdated to me.
I think we need to define outdated.
That
Yes.
I
Marriage is
think
the amount of the advantages that come
or barbaric.
archaic.
I explained those.
I was gonna say.
okay.
Archaic, as in it needs to be, it's too much of what it was then, as opposed to now, or barbaric, as in
Completely.
why it's crazy. Why
It's
does
too much of what it was then.
It's not barbaric. I can understand why people get married.
Just to go back on the point of the advantages that married people have compared to single people, that's what makes it outdated to me.
I think it's outdated in its own way because people don't respect marriage the way it was respected.
They don't respect relationships.
First of all, I think
general.
no, because marriage wasn't respected back then. I believe marriage, literally back then, was just a legal
Everything back
obligation.
then was better though.
So then it's
How?
No, but that's what they
in a way,
say.
it was
That's
the
what they
same
say.
women,
That's what they say.
little girls.
I don't know what you're talking
What are you talking about?
We must see this back then, though.
No, but
At
okay,
14 years
people
old,
can
you
say
were
it was
married to
better
a
back then.
30-year-old man.
But that was
No, but okay. Okay, let me-
No, I'm talking about marriage back in the day.
Yes, but that was still cultural. Like it still breaks into cultural and all of those different aspects.
It was happening in Western society.
Let me
Yes,
explain why
okay.
I say people can say it was always better back then. Donald Trump win presidency over saying make America great again. We could say it wasn't always great, but to those people living in their heyday, that was the best
You mean
time.
white people?
Yeah, white people, they heyday best time. Your parents, the music you listening to, or the music back then was way better than what y'all listening to now.
nostalgia.
It's nostalgia. That's all that is. I don't think you
Okay,
could say
you can't go
people
off.
say the quality.
So you say marriage
You can't go off
nostalgic.
what was good for you.
No, I
For
say
what was good for society.
Right, I say-
So just because racism benefited you as a person, that doesn't mean that it was good for society.
no, but marriage was good for the wife too. in
But
some
what I'm
sense.
saying is, yes,
Some
marriage
girls
was
was happy.
there was
They wanted that security.
existing
You know
conditions
what I
for
mean?
marriage back
But then
then. But
now-
there were some people that were genuine, wanted to get married for love. So it's still the
I
same
feel like
then
marriage-
and now.
but
Marriage is more for
I think
love
arranged
today
marriages
than
are
it
barbaric.
is.
Yeah, fuck.
That is barbaric.
That was the barbaric aspect.
Yeah, well, we
of
say
it.
it was, but it's
Yeah,
still.
but you're
But it's right. It still happens
I think
because.
it is.
I don't
But
like
guess what? You know why we feel it's barbaric and that it's because.
Anybody was ever
Think about it. We're not in that culture. If we were in that culture where young parents say, "Hey, you need to go and marry this girl
That's
tomorrow,"
exactly what I was going to say.
you need to marry. We wouldn't know any different because we're not exposed to that.
Yeah.
We say this isn't right. But they can look at us and be like, "Oh, they're getting married for who they want. That ain't right either." So we have to look at it from other people's perspective.
Like they still doing that
like
today.
you see, no, but
Like today.
he just said something where that's what I was gonna say. He said that what he said? He said something about like the girls appreciated the security that they got, but then that doesn't make it right because it's like just like they were socialized to thinking that they needed that security.
even
Or they
okay.
need, so like they would think like from the time they were born that their father and their mother tell them when you're 12 we're gonna organize you blah 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 blah, and then now what else do they know? Like they don't know
They don't
that
know
they
anything
don't
else.
need a husband at 12 years old. Like what they will be happy smiling on their wedding day.
But you can't really lock relationships and marriages into culture because everybody's culture is different, right? So all us love boyfriend and multiple boyfriends and girlfriends and be sleeping around. But let's say you tell that to one of your Asian friends or one of your Middle Eastern friends, they look at you like you insane. Like you grind more than two, you having sex with more than one person at the same time or within this amount of time. That's crazy.
So
Like
as
Tabby
for
was
me-
saying,
as for me, when I'm considering marriage to be a man and woman coming together to decide that they are going to be together for the rest of their lives and loving each other, growing old with each other, building together, that is still a concept for me. Other things as in financials and stuff like that, those may be the outdated parts, but marriage as in two people together for the rest of their lives, committing together for the rest of their lives, going through trials and tribulations.
Marriage should only be about the
goal, baby.
That's the only thing.
hold on, let's just give her a second.
Yo, honestly, I just believe in a day and age like that. I'm not talking for myself because I'm sort of 50-50 on the issue. I don't care if I never get married. I don't care if I do get married. It's like whatever. It's depending on the other person if they want to or not. But like I'm talking for society. In a society now that we live where like you have so many options. Like there's people like this is probably the most free generation ever when it comes to like choices you can make and stuff like that for women and men. So like people just that's why I keep going back to the single boy.
Not
People,
so much for women. Well, that's another kind.
I guess.
What? The LGBTQ? You just get thrown all out?
There's a movement. There's more of a movement.
Yeah.
So there's the Me Too movement and all that. Sorry for what I mean. But
So you don't, sorry no. I can really, it's a burning question. You don't think things get better for women in the last 50 years? I'm
Better
saying
what?
things
got better.
are as good as they can
We're
be.
gonna start
Things
off
has
another
gotten
time.
better
Oh,
for
no, I'm trying to
women,
say
but it's
things
not
ain't
as good as
better
it
than
can
No,
be.
I agree.
Do you
100%.
I
Do you
agree.
think things are better for black people?
No, I agree. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't
Yes,
trying
it
to.
can
No,
be.
I understand.
Yes, it has
that
gotten
it can
better,
get
but there's still some fuck shit.
It can get better, but all he said was things get better, and I had some goals. Like,
no, but okay.
No, I'll be honest, things have gotten better.
There's more of a movement. There's more.
Right.
We could all recognize that. And I just feel as if the whole thing where it's still like a thing in society where it sort of classifies you into this group of like successful or whatever when you could just be like a single successful person or not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's why I said. But that's more on the women's side though than the men.
I feel like for this marriage topic, we covered like we encompassed everything. The only thing that we missed, I think, is Callum's point on monogamy, and on top of that, like polygamous people.
They get married too.
Yeah, I mean they have open marriages, so, or like
Still a
have
marriage?
multiple, or have multiple spouses.
Actually, in however you say the word, in that way, when if it's a man or a woman, if they want to get somebody else, they have to speak to the other person in the relationship before they even go out and do that. So it's not basically like just open and you have sex with everybody else. It has to be like, okay, I'm deciding to have sex with this one person, and then you're deciding that you're okay with this one person. It's not like as if they're just out here just.
And you
No,
see,
I understand that, right? But then I think it's still biased in the sense, like, if the woman decides to do that, then there's an extra husband. If the man decides to do that, there's an extra wife. I just feel like if I decide that I want 2 wives, my wife should be has the same privilege of having 2 husbands.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go join
A
our
lot of them, a lot of them do have that. But yeah, there's a lot of them who do have that where their husband could have somebody and the wife could have somebody, but a lot of women just don't even just
I don't think.
I don't think they will.
I think they just move on to the next wife.
I don't think the woman can. That's me being ignorant, but I don't feel
I'm not
the
sure.
woman
I
can
refuse to
divorce
believe
the
that, but I
husband,
just
but the
say
husband
that.
can divorce him. I don't know. I feel
That can't follow the
I
same
think they have
rules.
two different. There's polygamy and
a polyamory.
Yeah.
There's
What's the
two
difference?
different.
I don't know what the difference.
I think polygamy is when there's more than one partner.
More than one woman is polygamy because that's more than one woman for one man, and a polyandry is when there's more than one man to one woman.
Okay. That makes sense.
Cool.
Andrew,
The
yeah.
more you know.
So I got polyamory, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
Many, several, and Latin is a practice of or desire for intimate relationships with more than one partner with the consent of all partners
That's exactly what I
involved.
was saying.
So I guess if let me know use persons in the group.
Yeah.
But if so and so get married and they have another one, you gotta say, hey, I will marry this one too.
Yeah.
And then they marry, they gotta ask all of them,
Yeah.
can we bring this third
So
person?
then that goes to the topic
4.
again of like
Outdated.
I'll
You basically define a marriage what works for you.
because we were talking about Christian, like
Yeah.
not Christian, but
That's what I was asking
westernized
you guys.
marriage.
Westernized, very
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then polygamy is with the husband having more than
And then there's like a whole other couple billion people on the other side.
Marriage means different things to different
Like
people.
if you're looking at marriage being outdated, look at the British
I barely went on to the one.
monarchy. That's the only monarchy where marriages are not quote unquote arranged, and still look at how much opposition Meghan Markle is getting.
Yeah.
Because she's not what
they
British
expect or want.
exactly. So it's like I wouldn't say that marriage is outdated, because a lot of what we're defining as outdated are actually advances that marriage has gotten.
Yeah.
I think it's
over the
outdated
years.
to our
Like what?
point.
As in, like not to argue, but like my ignorance, like what exactly?
Yeah, we can use.
Like marriage, people didn't get married for love when marriage was
I guess. Yeah.
When it
was
first-
initiated, when it
yes.
was brought. It was that you were 12 years old and you knew that, okay, like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, or combinations of
It's
like
like
families and
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, so
For stature,
basically,
so
yeah.
then there needed to be to keep bloodlines pure and all of these things. So a lot of what we're saying is outdated about marriage is actually advances that marriage has taken over the years. So that's why I asked the question: are we saying that marriage is archaic or barbaric? Because finances and all of that, getting married to be able to approach the bank for loans, women could not do those things before. So that is not an outdated aspect of marriage. That
I
is
think
an
none of
advantage.
those
when we look
terms,
at
archaic
Western
and
versus
barbaric,
Eastern, it's a
define
lot easier to
what
answer
marriage
that
is.
question.
You see, the thing is, it doesn't even go back to Western versus Eastern. For us in the Western world, if we go back as far as our grandparents, a lot of our grandparents had to marry because they had children out of wedlock. They had to leave home because it was time for them to leave. So it's like we cannot look at marriage in a bubble and say that marriage is outdated.
But I saying that's
because
your example that you used was our grandparents. We're talking about this day and age.
our
You know,
grandparents is this day and age.
I bet
they're
you
still
that
alive.
the LGBTQ movement didn't exist when my grandparents was around, and gay marriages are a thing now.
You see,
So I think it's evolving. I think
But then
like,
the thing is that day and age cannot be. One generation doesn't make a day and age. 3 generations at
Yeah.
least to make a
I
day and
mean-
age. So our grandparents are included.
but
in
I
the day
think
and
the
age
boomers
now.
and millennials are like
But
two
you see, the thing
different.
is,
Can't see
I
that.
wouldn't say
Why?
that word
Why
has
can't I say
gotten-
boomers?
Because it's
Because-
offensive
Yeah.
now.
It's offensive. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
The older
Yeah.
folks, 50 and higher,
I don't think you can
versus
see that.
I don't think that
I can't say 50
So we should
and over.
say our parents and our
But
parents.
we basically, there's a divide between us, bro. If we even reach something as
get
simple as
reported, though.
technological literacy,
I'm used
it's
to that.
vastly different from
Yeah.
the age 50 plus and 25 and under. Like I'm just saying, like there's a lot of ways we differ
Alright,
from
wait,
each other.
you're finishing your point.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Cut you out.
I mean, I don't know.
Let's
I don't
progress
know if I don't know if we wrapping up, but like just to touch on what like Cameron said. So like monogamy in this day and age. Well, let's say within our generation, like within the last 20 years, we are more sexually free.
Hi, hello.
Can we pay attention?
We are more sexually free as a society. So like when you think of marriage, you think of monogamy and all being tied to this one person for the rest of my life. As men, not to be sexist, that doesn't entice men. What man wants to say, oh, let me just tie myself to this one person
Right.
for the rest of my life? So I can understand how it may be some resistance.
What makes you think all
But-
men consider being in a long-term
That's why I
relationship
said I didn't want
tied?
to.
I was about to say my men do.
Hello.
What? No. I just had the point.
He was
No, I'm saying how you always describe these long-term commitments or marriage or long-term relationship as a tie and or
As a
shackle
screen
or
for men,
bind
yes.
or for everyone, even the words y'all use, right? Like you would say tie or
And you know why we use it? Because it's been ingrained in our head. Because we have not had actual words change over the last few years to use other words. So we are using the words that we've heard from time after time. So it's not necessarily we mean, oh, we want to be tied, but we've heard when you get married, you tie the knot.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So
So
it is sort of like it is a
Some
a
say
good-
bond,
a
some say
good,
binding.
It is a
Binding.
good.
so you bind a marriage, a legal binding. So
I
like,
feel like a lot of the language
It's still a
surrounding
good
marriage is negative.
comparison though to a shackle, because look at how much you have to go through to sort of like
The
get out
Bible
of it.
compares it to a chain.
Yeah, like when a divorce is so like I can't think of the word right now. But basically like imagine how long like people some people trying to divorce their partner for like 3-4 years.
some
So
take 10.
yeah, like it is. I would compare it to a shackle. Not necessarily in the sense where like I tied down, as in like I want to go and look for people but I can't or something like that. Not necessarily always in the
It's a
negative
burden.
way, but then it's like if it's just so as like if you want to do something, like it's basically like let's say you're on house arrest and you have to stay in your house and you have all your food in your house, everything, but it's until you realize like dog,
You
I
don't
have to
get
go
outside.
outside. Then you're like,
or you have to talk to your parole officer before you go outside. Right?
yeah, exactly.
That is not what I'm. Oh.
You said, just to give you an example of like what you were saying, my parents ain't together no more. They wasn't together from like, I must see was like 13, 14. Like realistically, they weren't together. I think the divorce papers didn't get signed until like, I was like 20.
Yeah.
They say,
That's why I say so. I'm not saying
Together,
shackle as in
so-
like every day like you wake up depressed. It's not necessarily that kind
But
of
it still
shackle.
means you still
It's just like
you have this legal obligation to
You have
this
to
person.
obligate to somebody else.
yeah, like if you realize like one day I don't want to be in this no more, it's not like okay,
It's
man,
not.
you know what, fuck this, divorce. 5 minutes later, okay, I'm single. Nah, it's
No,
like
it's
you've
not
got
like
like,
that.
lawyers, like judges, and all kind of like you have to have grounds for divorce and all
Right.
that.
So is that the appeal and get married? That part right there.
No.
Of course, it's not an appeal. Who the hell
for
is gonna say
lawyers,
that's
I
an
mean,
appeal?
from my perspective,
But
I got you saying that's the
I think that's when you go in. So do you go into a marriage saying, oh, we may not work?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I
Some
open,
people go
I
into
open to
marriage
that.
saying they may
I mean,
not
that's the
work.
whole argument about the prenuptial agreement. Like, I think asking your spouse to sign a prenup before you get married
That
is
should,
basically
that's why I said
saying,
that should get rid of
announcing that. I
75%
think that
of
we
your
may fail.
worries.
I think
But it's
indirectly.
fucking sorry, it's realistic.
I know it's realistic.
I
and
felt that.
We love contingency plans. Like I love contingency plans, being a business major and all that.
It's
Right?
legit.
I love that. But at the same time, that kind of goes against the premise of marriage itself.
See, I think if
Which
you
is why that's
define,
outdated. That's because it's like 50% of I don't know the exact statistic, but
It is
50%
50%.
of marriages
Failing.
fail. Like they get like you understand. So
Yeah.
it's just if you're just realistic, like right now in 2019, like I could.
but
love
what are the real statistics behind the reasons of failure of marriages? So like if we go and Google divorce rate, what are the actual reasons for divorces?
I don't
I
know.
would, just off the top, off the rip, I can say 35% of it's probably infidelity.
No,
No, it's actually money.
It's money and you're concerned about
Money was the
businesses.
number one.
It's
It was
what?
money.
It's
It
what?
was issues surrounding
Oh,
money.
financial.
Yeah, financial issues.
But even if like I have friends outside of this group who female friends who say, oh, I want to find me a rich husband. So what you bringing up?
Ain't no gal, ain't no woman in the world want no broke nigga.
No.
No.
Hold on. Before you say that, let's go across the board. No one on no side want a broke
No,
person.
yeah.
Nobody want a poor person. Nobody
You don't want a poor person, but you're not going out there saying, I want to
I
find
can genuinely,
a Bill Gates.
I can promise you, with some men in the world who don't mind, who don't care what condition they find the gal in, so long.
But there's also some women in the
I am-
world too
I
that.
am-
They'll take care of her. They'll
But there's
provide for
also
her.
some women like that.
In any relationship I've been in, I never asked to do it for any money.
Of course not, but that dude wasn't busted on his backside.
He kind of was.
It's just because I want
He was
somebody
unemployed.
who works.
Well, let's switch that around. He wasn't rich though.
Why you get-
You'd ask him for money if he's rich.
No.
You
No.
I'm really watching this video and you just talking this nigga on live. Y'all just said,
Anyway,
fuck you.
I got you, dog. I got you. He wasn't busted, you know what I mean?
So,
But he was all okay. Even if he was unemployed, he was making strides in the direction.
no. This dude was just sitting home, laying up in bed watching Netflix.